Good evening, everyone. We are from FG1. Soon we will present you about our group works about intelligence. Next.
Uh, okay, the first one is definition of intelligence. Intelligence is a psychological process that involves the process of acquiring, compiling, and using knowledge and mental activities such as thinking, observing, analyzing, synthesizing, and solving problems. Next, and there are three factors that affect intelligence. The first one is heredity. Heredity is a process of passing traits and characteristics from the parents to offspring. For example, the sibling live together in the same home, they are together in the same home, are more similar than those that are fraternal twins. The second one is second factor is the environment. Uh, environment Environmental factors such as place of residence, physical exercise, family income, and education. And for the evidence is the identical twins that rear apart have IQ that are less similar than identical twins that in the same environment. And the third factor is the other biological factors such as maternal age, parental exposure to harmful substance, and parental malnutrition may also influence the intelligence. Next.
So the next one is about the work of Jean Piaget. So basically, Jean Piaget is a psychologist that is focusing on the development of intelligence. So Piaget's theory argues that we have to conquer four stages of cognitive development. The first one is the sensory motor stage, which take between 0 to 2 years, and then the second one is the pre-operational stage, which the interval is between 2 and 7 years. The next one is concrete operational stage, which take about the age of 7 to 11. And the last one is formal operational stage, which the interval is uh, between above age of 12. Move to the next slide for the detailed explanations. So for the first one, the sensory motor stage. In the sensory motor stage, we develop through experiences and movement of our five senses. First, we start with simple reflexes, and soon after, we develop our first habits. From 4 months old, we become aware of things beyond our own body, and then as we get older, we learn to do things intentionally. A key milestone in the development of working memory, or in Piaget terms, our realizations of objects' permanence. But we remain egocentric, meaning we can perceive the world only from our point of view. The next one is the pre-operational stage. Uh, in this stage, our thinking is mainly categorized through symbolic functions and intuitive thoughts. We have lots of fantasies and believe objects are alive, as we are not able to apply specific cognitive operations. We learn to speak and understand that words, image, and gestures are symbols for something else. At around age of 4, most of us become very curious and want to know everything. We can call it the birth of primitive reasoning. Piaget called it the intuitive age. For the third one, the concrete operational stage. At this stage, we finally discover the logic and we develop concrete cognitive operations, such as sorting objects in a certain order. One example of this is inductive reasoning. We now get the concept of conservation. Our brain learns to rearrange our thoughts, to classify and build concrete operational mental structures. As a result, we get to know ourselves better. We begin to understand that our thoughts and feelings are unique and not necessarily those of others. The last one is the formal operational stage. At this stage, we now have the ability to think more rationally about abstract concepts and hypothetical events. Our advanced cognitive ability allow us to understand abstract concepts and form a deeper understanding of our own identity and morality. Our brain is now able to do deductive reasoning, which means we can compare two statements and reach logical generalizations. Our new mental skills allow us to plan our life systematically and prioritize. We now also can philosophize and just think about thinking itself. Piaget believed in lifelong learning, but insists that the formal operational stage is the final stage of our cognitive development. Move to the next slide.
So the next slide is about post-gene theories. So the Piaget theories continues to serve as basis for other views. One of the theories are children do not think like me as adults. They think differently and in different categories. There are two scientists that continues with these theories. The first one is S. Dane. So he took three different bears. For instance, bear A, bear B, bear C, and then he showed it to the children, and then he took again back the three bears, and then he randomly rearranged it and give it back to the children, and the children says that it is the same. And then the other scientists in wine indicates with the numbers. So as you can see, he gives that 1 plus 1 equals to 2 and 2 minus 1 equals to 1. And then he tried to trick with the children to rearrange it to think that 1 plus 1 equals to 1, but it fails. So the conclusion is for number, the children think that the range is crucial, while for objects such as bear or things, it's not relevant. Next.
Next slide is the environmental viewpoint. And this is the theory from L.S. Vygotsky. Intellectual development may be largely influenced by a child's interaction with others. And the role of environment is particularly evident in studies across culture. And there are another theory from many resources. The first one is identical twins reared part have IQ that are less similar than identical twins reared in the same environment, from the McGee and others. And then the second one is school attendance has an impact on IQ score, from Chechi. And then children who are breastfed during the first 3 to 5 months of life score higher on IQ tests at age 6 than same age children who were not breastfed. This is from Kramer and others. And the next slide, please. And this is the factor that can influence the development of intelligence. The first one is peer group. Peer group can impact to the development of intelligence through the stereotype associated with that group. For example, when there are females who were told that women are worse at the chess than men, perform worse in a game of chess than females who were not taught this. And the second one is stress and life condition. This thing can be very important to our mind and perspective. Stress during early childhood may also affect the child development and have negative consequences on neural system underlying fluid intelligence. There is a study that says IQ score were related to the number of trauma and symptoms in children and adults. And then education. Education also the main factor of intelligence because it can impact our knowledge and our perspective when we solve a problem. And education also can bring many new experience that is also important to grow intelligence. And there is a study from CSI that says education can affect intelligence and because because IQ can decrease during the summer breaks from schooling, and then IQ can also decrease when the children have delayed to enter the school. And then the last one is enrich social environment. More, more stimulating environment can increase the number of synapses in the brain, which increase synaptic activity. In human, this is most likely to occur during the development of the brain, but also can occur in adults.
Intelligence is not something we can measure as easily when we want to measure our weight or sample our temperature, because intelligence is an idea, not a thing, so we can't easily measure it. We can measure the intelligence with the help of intelligence. So first of all, the intelligence test is used to predict and measure someone intelligence, and this was found by some researchers, which researcher we can say by Alfred Binet, and then who then created a Binet-Simon scale. And in the research, Binet mentioned that as children advance in age, the difficulty of tasks they can perform also increase. Therefore, in that test, Binet were made for different age levels, and if the test is passed for 60 until 90% by the children, so it's confirmed to be their MA, or we can say, next please. Next slide. So, next for the types of intelligence, there are 8 types of intelligence. There are interpersonal, naturalist, spatial, musical, logical reasoning, interpersonal, bodily kinesthetic, and linguistic. So I want to example one by one. So for the interpersonal, it's about the understanding ourselves, about what we feel and what we want. And for the naturalist, is the understanding nature and organic processes. And for the spatial, is seeing and mapping the world in 3D. And then for musical types, is the ability to recognize, create, produce, and reflect on music. The take on music. For the next type is the logical reasoning. It's the skill, reasoning, detect pattern, and logical thinking. And for personal, you can link people, mind, and so on like that. And for the bodily classic, it's using one's body in highly differentiated and skilled ways. And the last one is linguistic. It's a master of spoken and written language. Next.
So the next slide is about the IQ test. Basically, IQ test defined as an intelligence quotient, which is a standard measure of an individual intelligence level based on psychological tests. And IQ test was found by Binet and Theodore, as mentioned before by the previous slide. So they first started their research based on the Minister of Public Instruction in Paris, because they want to ensure that children with normal intelligence were not placed in mentally retarded just because of their behavior problems. And also, Binet and Theodore proposed a test. A test consists of measuring skills such as judgments, comprehensions, and reasoning, which used by most of IQ tests today, with some refinement are making. And also, from the second one is Lewis and Terman, which actually used the Binet test, but because he took it to Stanford, therefore the name becomes Stanford Binet test, and it is actually an overall score referred as the IQ. So to calculate IQ, basically we just need to divide the mental age by the physical age and then times by 100. So before we talk about the distribution of IQ tests, so for example, if a child have a mental age of 12 after he took the test, and then his physical age is 10. Therefore, you just need to divide 12 by 10 and then times by 100, and basically his IQ is around 120, and it means that he is above the average IQ. So the distribution of IQ tests basically tell that intelligence test scores follow normal distributions, where most people's score is near the middle of score distribution and drop rapidly as one moves to either direction from the center. As we can see in the graph, it is called as the IQ curve bell because it looks like a bell, as you can see there, where most people have an IQ between 85 to 115, and then the other are going less and less as to intellectually disabled or gifted IQ.
Okay, so for the heritability and malleability of intelligence, so basically intelligence has historically been conceptualized as a fixed trait, and whereas a minority of investigators believe either that it is highly heritable, or that it is minimally heritable. Most take an intermediate position. There are some studies of identical twins who were separated at an early age, and then they finally re-earth apart. If the twins were raised in separate environments, and if it assumed that when twins are separated, they are randomly distributed across environments, then the twins will have in common all their genes, but environmental overlap. As a result, the correlation between their performance on intelligence tests would identify any possible link between test scores and heredity. And for the malleability, describes the processes by which intelligence can increase or decrease over time, and it is not static. This change may come as a result of genetic, pharmacological factors, psychological factors, behavior, and of course environment.
So the next slide is about summarize on IQ test. So basically, IQ test is sometimes seen as controversial. Why? Because this is for a reason of to call someone severely retarded solely on a single test score is seen to be disservice and injustice. Moreover, other controversials include such as for the first one is if you call as giftedness, which is the highest IQ score, it doesn't actually predict your future or as a predictor of adult abilities. And then the second one is about the relation between poverty and adequate academic to IQ test. This is because, for example, people who has the chance of better poverty and better school might have higher IQ than people who have less poverty problem. Have poverty problem, which also might cause them to be unable to receive an adequate academic. As mentioned before, academic is one of who relate the most to your IQ score. And then the last one is about IQ is not genetically fixed. What by means is that although IQ is related by genetic, you can improve by training, or your IQ also can decrease, such as because of poor educational or because of the environmental. So that's all about our presentation. Is there anyone want to add something before we end it?
I think that is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.